So in this tutorial, we're going to start adding in our data and adding our pictures to go with it because it's an infographic. So the data we're working with is this. We have NFL versus Major League Baseball. I have 5 categories that I worked with. So I'm going to start with my categories. They'll be over here. So I'm going to change what I have here to match here. And I'm not going to do all of it. I'm just going to do some of it so you can get the idea of how to do it. So let's start with weight. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to click on this one. This says saying, it says now we'll put in weight, and I want to center that, and I need to obviously make that quite a bit bigger, bold it so it'll stand out, and let's just go down, we'll make it 72, maybe probably make it even a little bigger, and we can spread it out. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, I want to replace this. Obviously, a light bulb is not a great choice for weight. So one of the nice things with Adobe Express, you have a ton of icons. So if you go under Elements, and you go under Icons, and I want to type in weight, so I can find that'll work well. And tons of different stuff. Oh, I kind of like this little scale here. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to click on this one there, puts in a nice scale, and I can move it in, scale it down. So it's kind of looks pretty good. Now, one of the things we mentioned earlier was that when it comes to, let me make this slightly bigger. When it comes to this, when it comes to these, I have there's only 4 here, and I have 5 categories. So what I'm going to do is since I have this one kind of set up with the balance on one, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my other 3. And I'm going to make a bunch, to make 4 more copies of this one, because this one's actually well set up as far as the size and the height, the size and how dark my letters are. So instead of redo it every time, I'm just going to copy this. So I did this, and I could copy it this way, or I can do Control C, and then I could paste it. And what it does, it pastes it right on top, and then I can just move it down. I'm just using the arrow key. So now it lines up pretty well. So I'm going to do that. In fact, I'm going to, in the shortcut, I'm going to copy both of these, paste them both in, move them both down. That's 4, so I just have 1 more to go. 4, and then now this time I'm just going to do 1, Control C, and I'll paste it in. Now there's another thing that you can do too. I'm going to line these up like this. So that's pretty good, but I'm going to show you how to get it so it lines up even, so it distributes it evenly. One thing I can do that really helps with these is I can select both of these, so I have both of them together, and I group them. And what that does, that makes that one object. And so now it moves together as one thing rather than moving as the letter and the numbers. Like here, if I move it, these are separate. So I should have done it for all of them at once, and but I can select each of these and just group them. So now that each one's going to be a group. I don't do that too much because I'm going to be changing them. The other thing I can do is if I select all of these and go up here under a line. So I can center in things, but I can also just distribute. And this is really nice. If I do vertical, watch what happens. See how I adjust it? It makes them evenly in that space. So they're exactly what I want. And this actually looks pretty good because I'm about the same, but I want to do a little bit bigger, a little bit, so it's kind of evenly. And now I have it nicely done in. So now that's weight. So here, I'm going to ungroup this one. I'm going to go to my next one, which in this case was games. Now what I do is just change this one to games. Find an icon that would work well for games here. And it could be anything. So I'm just going to type in games and see. Actually, I'm going to do calendar because it really is more like how much they do it. So they put in games by calendar. Now we'll get rid of this one, put this one in, put it down. As you can see what I'm doing, I'm just going to do that for each one. I'm not going to go through each of these, but once I get them in place, I should go ahead and group those two. Because those are really part of the same thing. So I can always ungroup them later. but now they're one image. So that's basically, this is how I'm able to do this part. So there's my categories. I've got each of my categories. I'll put my other 3 categories in. Doing the exact same thing: roster, salary, career, etc. All right, so now I'm going to look over here and kind of going to do the same thing. And actually, I like this bottom one better than these, because if you look at my data, it's all numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore these top 3, because this one's the one that's closest to what I want. I'm going to delete these 3, and I'm going to elevate this one up to the top, and I'm going to set that up as my basically template. So here, what I'm going to do is this is another good chance to work with my colors. So yellow is nowhere else, but remember I had red here for my lines. So I'm going to have my things be red here. So I'm going to match this up. Click on my fill, and I'm going to get that red that I had up there. Makes it look real nice, and it's 14%. So it's not going to be 14%, but in this case I'm going to change it. My number is going to be, again, my thing here, 2 is 210, because I'm going to make the baseball here. So this is going to be 210 pounds. Oops, I might need to make this smaller. That might actually work. 210 pounds, and that's going. And then here I'm going to explain what that is. That's the average weight of a major league player, and you can see it's way too small here. I might make it bigger so I can even read it. I can zoom in here, if I wanted to. So I can zoom in this way. You see, I did a horrible job typing here. So let's change all that. But it's going to be too small anyway. I'll make it bigger. And I know I'm going to be making this bigger, so I'm going to just highlight this, and I want to center it. And I'm going to make it significantly bigger. Let's make it, say, 48. Then, that looks pretty good. And so if we zoom back out here to where we can see the whole thing, now let's make that bold. So you can see that's what I ended up doing. So I got that. I can line it up a little bit. And once again, once I get these together, I probably would group these 2. So they're part of the same thing. So 210 pounds, average weight of Major League, the weight's going across there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy and paste this all the way down, because all my data is numbers. So this is basically a template for the rest of my numbers rather than me doing every single one. So I'm just going to Control C, V, just going to bring it down. And it lines up pretty, we can see it lines up pretty well. And now, save myself a little bit of time. I'm going to highlight both these, paste them, and then I'll worry about the line up in a minute. So let's see, and oops, I'll bring this down. So I got all 5, and then to make them look nice. Remember, I locked down these down before my bars, so they won't be a problem as far as being chosen accidentally. But I'm going to distribute this so it's vertically, so it's nice, it straightens it out, and then I'll make it a little bigger so it matches up quite well going across. So I've got these all match up pretty well here. And now the nice thing is, once I get this in, I can just change this next one. So it's games. So I got 162 games for 162. And I can make games smaller, so this is probably not fit in it as well. So let's make it say nice. Oops, let me undo that. Undo is one of the nicest things you have on this. So the easiest way to do it is put your games in, and then highlight and just make that part smaller. But I just want to make that fit. Yeah, so that fits in real well. And you could even do something like this if you wanted to. You can highlight this and make that a different color if you want your numbers to stand out a little more. So you can see how that worked out. And I got you could do the same thing here with games. That was nice. And then this I've actually changed. That's the length of major of so MLB season. All right. So very easy, and I would just simply go in and do the rest of the numbers. Now the nice thing about this also is not only have this done, if I'm really smart, well, at this point I would do is I would get rid of these. I'm going to end up with the same thing over here. I'm just going to highlight these, copy them, paste them in, and just move them over here. So now I have the exact same thing. I just have to change my numbers and my, at this point I would just need to change my numbers and the color scheme and what in my label here. So like if I go back to my data, it's for NFL it's 250. Obviously you would expect it to be bigger. And I'm going to move that to 250. Pounds are there. I'm going to change this to be the one that I have for my blue up here. Right, and then this will be NFL player. And I'll put an there, so all my English will be good.